It's shaping up to be a big week for EU economic affairs. After the ECB announced an unprecedented rate hike yesterday, EU economic and finance ministers are gathering in Prague for an informal meeting. At the top of the agenda, the looming recession caused by high energy prices and record high inflation in Europe. Finance ministers will also be discussing financial support for war-torn Ukraine. German Finance Minister Christian Lindner announced he wants to push for the oil price cap agreed on by G7 countries. Well, I'm joined now by DW's Bernd Riegert, who's at the conference in Prague. Bernd, good to see you. A lot of chatter about how to bring down prices for consumers. What options are ministers considering?
Yeah, after the ECB, the European Central Bank, acted yesterday, the ball is now in the field of the finance ministers. They have to come up with some measures to fight inflation, and one of the foremost measures would be a sound fiscal policy, so less debt. But on the other side, they want to ease the pressure on prices for consumers. There are many aid packages under development, and that would actually heighten the debt of the finance ministers and the public households. So it's very difficult to find a balance here, and ministers are not agreeing on what measures to take. The southern countries want more debt, the northern countries want less debt, but all agree that inflation has to come down somehow, and the ministers don't have an actual direct impact on the prices here.
Okay, well, talking about agreement here, G7 countries have been talking about a price cap on Russian oil for months. Russia and OPEC have been warning against it. Now Germany is pushing for it. Why is that?
Well, Germany, as the presidency of the G7, announced today that they want to push for a price cap. Actually, the G7 has already agreed on a price cap. They want to shave off revenues for Russian state oil companies so that there will be no gains from this war anymore for Mr. Putin. On the other hand, there's the danger, of course, that doing this, the supply of oil for the world market would go down, and that could heighten prices actually on the other side again. So the G7 is now looking for other customers of Russia to join them to have this price cap and to push the revenues of Russia down. It's more a political measure. It's not a direct impact on the prices worldwide, actually.
Okay, well, obviously a lot of elements to debate. There are any concrete proposals coming out of the meeting so far?
Well, no concrete proposals, but the ministers have to agree how to deal with public finances and fiscal policies. There must be a solution. They cannot push it or kick the can down the road. So they have to come up with a rule how to get rid of public debt in the Eurozone in order to avoid another crisis, which we have seen in 2015 with Greece, for example. This recession, this crisis can easily develop into a state debt crisis and also a euro crisis.
Bernd Riegert in Prague, thank you for that. Europeans are being urged to save energy this winter to avoid shortages. For some companies, that's impossible, leaving shutting down the only option.
Duralex is one of the world's most prominent glass producers, but it soon won't be producing at all. The French company says it's halting operations for 4 months this winter due to the cost of gas and electricity. CEO José Luis Yacuna sees no other way to save the business. Between January 2021 and January 2023, the price of electricity will have been multiplied by 22 and gas by 18. In these conditions, our production lines are worthless. If we maintain production, our energy costs could represent up to 40% of our turnover, which is untenable. Duralex needs lots of energy. Its gas-fired furnaces melt glass, turning it into tableware at 1,400 degrees Celsius. The current volatility of energy prices is a nightmare for the company's boss. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is look at the daily change in electricity and gas prices. It's truly a roller coaster, and the outlook for the future is complete unknown. José Luis Yacuna says if the crisis goes on, it would mean the death of the industry as he knows it.
Well, to discuss this further, I'm joined now by Karen Pittel of Germany's IFO Center for Energy, Climate and Resources. Karen, thanks for joining us. Are these types of shutdowns that we just heard about an example of what's happening all across Europe, not just in France?
Yes, definitely. I mean, industry structure in different countries is different. Energy price hikes are also different. Electricity in France is among the worst in Europe, but still, can be observed across Europe. For example, in Germany, the Industry Association estimates that about 10% of firms already decrease their production or shut it down. And it really boils down to the question, is whatever the firm produces replaceable by something else? So can they increase their prices because the product is absolutely needed, or is there imports or other types of things that can replace their product? And that basically determines which leeway they have to pass on the prices to customers.
Okay, well, 10% already shutting down, that's quite a dramatic number. I mean, what would widespread shutdowns like these mean for the economy as a whole?
That really depends crucially on which type of firms are actually shutting down. If it's at the end of the value chain, so it's basically just the firm that is impacted, it's still not good for the economy. But if it's somewhere in the beginning of the value chain, so their product is used in other firms, and so on, it can lead to cascading effects, and that would make things much worse.
Okay, well, do we have any chance of avoiding this sort of worst-case scenario? I mean, we were just talking about the cap on Russian gas prices, for example. Any way to get around this problem?
Not completely. I mean, what we also just heard is about the debt crisis, a potential debt crisis for the governments. So, I mean, the prices are there, the costs are there for energy, and it really is the question, how can I go about that? I save those firms, which are especially important for the economy, and how can I prevent the others to shut down permanently? So kind of trying loan programs, trying also to support the workforce or the firms in keeping the workforce, excuse me, such that they don't have to lay people off. So it's about minimizing the impact. It's not about avoiding it completely.
That was Karen Pittel from the IFO Center for Energy, Climate and Resources. Thanks for that analysis.
You're welcome.